the children who are judged.
All right, so we're going ahead.
The cash prize of 100,000 naira. Nigerian Civic National Colleges NTIC. Amachibuke from Diamond Special School in Imo
Okay,
State.
so boiled eggs or fried eggs, maximizing nutrition. Now we all know that a healthy diet, a balanced diet can bring us a lot of benefits. Our diet should always contain a variety of fresh, nutritious foods to keep our bodies in the best condition. The World Health Organization actually recommends that our daily diet should consist of a mix of staple foods, including legumes, including plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables, and foods of animal origin also, like our eggs that we'll be talking about today. Eggs are a staple food in many people's diets, and they're also a great source of nutrition. They are delicious and they are extremely versatile. Now, cooking them makes the protein they contain more digestible, and it also destroys any dangerous bacteria, which also makes them safer to eat. Now, cooking eggs come in there are different ways to cook our eggs. You know, we have the poaching, we have boiling, we have frying, we have some people bake their eggs, and we also have microwaving. We'll be focusing on microwaving, we'll be focusing on frying and boiling today, since they are the most popular forms of cooking that we have in Nigeria. Now, both fried eggs and boiled eggs, they have very nutritious benefits. They are delicious, but there are differences in some of their nutritional value. We'll be comparing them in terms of their protein, in terms of their fat, and in terms of calorie, vitamin, and mineral content, as well as the overall health impact. And at the end of this presentation, we'll have a better understanding of the nutritional differences between boiled eggs and fried eggs. Then we will be able to make more informed decisions about what type of eggs to include in our diet. Why do you need to understand the nutritional differences between boiled and fried eggs? Now, understanding the nutritional differences can help people, like I mentioned earlier, can help us make informed dietary choices that promote health and that promote well-being in these areas. Number one is making informed choices, so you know, okay, what type of egg should I include in my diet? Should I include the fried egg? Should I use boiled egg? And to maximize the health benefits of these forms of eggs. Another area is in weight management. Now, for people trying to manage their weight, you know, we have to understand the differences between these two forms of eggs so that we'll be able to make informed dietary choices. Also, in cholesterol level management, eggs are a very rich source of dietary cholesterol, and this has been linked to an increased risk in heart diseases in some people. Now, understanding the differences in cholesterol content between the boiled eggs and between the fried eggs can help people with high cholesterol or a family of heart disease watch what they consume better. Now, this is a table showing the nutritional content of both boiled and fried eggs. You know, we are going to be looking at them in calorie content, their carbohydrate content, their protein content, their fat, their vitamin, then their total saturated and total unsaturated. Now, both fried eggs and boiled eggs are actually high in calories, as you can see. But fried eggs has about 26% more calories than boiled eggs. Fried eggs has, for a medium-sized egg, that's a medium one piece of egg, fried egg has about 90.2 kilocal, while just boiling the egg has about 77.5 kilocal. Now, according to carbohydrates, they are both low in carbohydrate content. So we can see boiled egg has 0.56 grams for one medium-sized egg, while fried egg has 0.38 grams. For their protein content, they're also very similar in protein content, both fried egg and boiled egg are high in protein, as you can see, but fried egg has, boiled egg has a little more protein than boiled egg by weight. And okay, then the fat content. Now, because fried egg has extra fat, because you have to add an amount of oil when frying, you can say that the fat content of fried egg is more than the fat content of boiled egg. Then vitamin B6, they are almost similar in content of vitamin B6. Then the total saturated fat. Now, total saturated fat of boiled egg is less than the total saturated fat of fried egg. And this is just for one medium-sized egg. Then the total unsaturated fat for boiled egg is also less than the total unsaturated fat for fried egg. In vitamin D content, they are very similar in vitamin D values. In vitamin E values, they are very similar, but fried egg has more vitamin E content than boiled eggs. Then vitamin A content, the vitamin A content of fried egg is actually significantly higher than the vitamin A content of boiled eggs. This is because of the added oils that we have. Then the sodium content, the fried egg has more sodium content, that's the Na. Sodium content, fried egg has more sodium content than the boiled egg. Then potassium also, fried egg has more potassium content than the boiled egg. Also for calcium, fried eggs have more potassium content and more calcium content than the boiled egg. Now, what's the difference in cooking methods between the boiled and the fried eggs? Now, how do we boil our eggs? We cook them in water. Most times we put the eggs in the water before they're even hot. So we boil for about 8 to 10 minutes, or sometimes less than that, depending on how we want the boiled eggs to be. Okay, please hold on. Okay, hold on, please. I'm trying to share my screen again. Okay, so as I was saying, the differences in cooking methods. Now, boiled eggs are cooked in water for about 8 to 10 minutes. And this can also be less, like I mentioned, depending on how, if you want it hard boiled or if you want it, you don't want it to be hard boiled. You know, some people have different textures that they enjoy. Now, fried eggs are cooked in a frying pan or in a skillet, often added with oil or butter. Some people use butter to fry their eggs, while some people use oil. Now, because boiled eggs are cooked in water, they don't contain any added fat or calories. The high heat of the pan cooks the egg in fried eggs, and it denatures the proteins. Like I mentioned earlier, it also makes the proteins more digestible, basically. So the high temperature of the water cooks the eggs, and then depending on the amount of oil or butter used, fried eggs can contain additional calories, fat. Now that's where the amount of cholesterol or the amount of fat comes in. Now, the overall health impact of consuming boiled eggs. Now, why should you consume boiled eggs, or why are we even talking about eggs today? Boiled eggs are an excellent source of protein, and they contain vitamins, they contain minerals, they contain disease-fighting nutrients. They are also helpful for weight loss, as we're going to see later. They are helpful for prenatal bone strength, reduced cholesterol, brain development, eye protection, and increased mental energy. Now, boiled eggs are also low in saturated fat, making them an ideal choice for individuals looking to manage their cholesterol levels. Now, what's the overall health impact of consuming fried eggs? Fried eggs, on the other hand, can give a higher calorie and fat content, as we saw earlier, due to the added oil or butter used in the frying process. Now, while they are still also a source of good protein, frying them doesn't denature all the proteins. They are still a good source of protein and essential nutrients, but their impact on overall health may not be as positive as boiled eggs because of the added oil that we use in preparing this form of eggs. Now, also consuming fried eggs regularly may increase the risk of heart disease and other health conditions associated with a high intake of saturated fat. Now, there are some research findings on egg consumption. Now, there's egg consumption on hypertension, egg consumption on cardiovascular diseases, and egg consumption on obesity. Now, for hypertension, studies suggest that a consumption of at least 1 egg per day is not in any way associated with an increased risk of coronary heart disease. That is when you eat 1 egg per day. And then consumption of only 1 egg per day may also even contribute to a decreased risk of total stroke compared to consuming no eggs at all. So maybe you have been hearing different information about eggs being high in cholesterol and then having impact on hypertension and all of these things. Research actually shows that consuming 1 egg per day is not associated with a risk of developing heart disease, and also even leads to a decreased risk of developing stroke compared to people that do not consume eggs at all. And then eggs and consumption of eggs and cardiovascular disease, that's heart diseases. Now, some studies also show that egg consumption is not associated with the risk of cardiovascular disease in the general population, that's in the general healthy population. But some other studies, however, found out that egg consumption may be associated with an increased incidence of cardiovascular disease among only diabetic patients. So it depends on the condition that a person is managing. That's for cardiovascular diseases before there will be an impact of the amount of egg that is consumed on their incidence or on their risk of cardiovascular disease. So for diabetic patients, some studies have also found out that consumption of egg may be associated with an increased incidence of cardiovascular diseases among diabetic patients. However, the American Dietary Guidelines affirmed that regardless of other dietary factors, 1 egg per day does not increase daily blood cholesterol levels and does not increase the risk of cardiovascular diseases in healthy people. So that's what, according to the American Dietary Guidelines, that's what it has confirmed. It says that 1 egg per day does not increase daily blood cholesterol levels and also risk of cardiovascular diseases in healthy people. Now, what's the link between egg consumption and obesity? According to the Journal of Food Science, it is also reported that egg consumption can improve body weight loss, can change adipose tissue function, and can increase effect of components that improve inflammation in obesity. There's another study that was conducted, and it also shows that people who do not even consume eggs and those people who consume more than 50 grams of eggs, those ones that do not consume eggs at all, have a higher risk of central obesity. So even people that consume eggs of 50 gram and above attributed a 34% lower risk of central obesity. That's obesity around the tummy area. That's what we call central obesity, and 38% of excess body fat. Conclusion: although eating eggs were once restricted due to their cholesterol content, the cholesterol in eggs, that's the dietary cholesterol, is now considered to be healthy. In fact, 1 egg per day might even help reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke. Both forms of eggs can be a part of a healthy and a balanced diet. However, consider the preparation method that best suits your needs and your dietary goals before incorporating them into your diet. This is where a registered dietitian comes in. A registered dietitian will take into consideration your past medical history, your present medical history, your weight, your height, genetic factors, and all other factors that can put you at risk or that can make you susceptible to some conditions, and know that, okay, this is the amount of eggs or this is the amount of food generally that you should be eating. And then frying your eggs, even when you fry your eggs, it shouldn't be a lot of oil. We should use more of plant-based oils like olive oil, sunflower oil, and other plant-based oils. These have a high level or high amount of omega-3 fatty acids, and they are known to be healthy, and they have very healthy benefits, instead of using the normal vegetable oil to fry. And also, you can also spice up your eggs by adding vegetables. You know, there are different ways to prepare eggs these days. You can add your vegetables, you can add your fresh pepper, you can add your some people use eggs in making their sandwiches. You know, there are different ways to enjoy. Some people add their eggs to their salads. So there are different ways to enjoy your eggs. And then just know that actually consuming eggs can help reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke. And then they are very healthy. Eggs are very healthy. 1 egg per day cannot do any harm to a healthy person's body. And then as we have seen in past slides, it can also reduce the risk of cardiovascular diseases and reduce the risk of stroke. I hope you all enjoyed the presentation. Thank you so much for listening. So we're going to be having some questions now.
Morning.
Thank you, Esther. It was a really interesting session. You educated us, and I know a lot of us have been, enlightened more on the best way to have our egg. And I know that from your session, I've known that it doesn't really matter like how you want to have your egg. It just depends on how you enjoy it, and then like you said, what your dietitian recommends based on your health condition and every other thing that you spoke about. Thank you very much. So if you have a question, you can use the raise hand button, and then she will take your questions one after the other. If you do not want to use the raise hand option to speak to her, you can drop your questions in the comment section, and she will also respond to your questions.
Okay, Mr. Emmanuel, you can ask your question. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for the presentation. This is Emmanuel John. I noticed you've laid emphasis on the boiled egg and fried. How about fresh egg? Does it have any side effect when you take fresh egg? And then, or if it doesn't, what is your advice? Considering the fact that getting a dietitian is a bit expensive for us around. So what do you advise here? Thank you. I hope my question is clear.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much for your question. Okay, so I didn't mention fresh eggs. Now for fresh eggs, one of the major concerns for fresh egg is the risk of food poisoning. Now, most of the eggs, we don't know if they are pasteurized or not. And then there's risk of having salmonella. And then it's going to cause a whole lot of symptoms when you consume fresh eggs. If you boil your eggs or if you fry your eggs, the amount of protein, the amount of nutrients that you're going to be getting is still going to be present. So to avoid risk of food poisoning, to avoid any risk of food poisoning, it's actually safer. It's safer to, okay, someone is asking a question. Okay, I'll get back to that shortly. So it's safer to go for boiled or for fried eggs, because in the process of boiling or in the process of applying heat, generally, it's going to reduce the risk of food poisoning. It will kill most of the microorganisms that are present in the eggs. And then not all eggs are pasteurized. We don't know the process of bringing them from the farm and the process of bringing them to our own table, wherever we're eating it or wherever we're preparing it. So to avoid any risk of food poisoning, it is safer to go for either boiled eggs or fried eggs, or applying a source of heat to the eggs.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Taufik Alamin, I can see your hand raised. You can ask your question, please.
Well, thank you very much. Please, I will later look my hand again. Please. I think I will have.
Hey, Mr. Alamin, I can't hear you, please.
I said, please give me some minutes. I will raise up my hand again. I'm a little bit.
Oh, okay, Mr. Mufatao. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Okay. Hello, good afternoon. Hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. The name is actually Muftao.
Okay, Muftao. Thank you very much. Sorry for the
exactly. So, thank you so much,
You're welcome,
Esther, for that beautiful presentation. I just have some few questions to get answer for. So, firstly, is that I actually wanted to ask the same question that the first person asked.
Okay.
In terms of the nutritional value of taking fresh egg. Yes, you have spoken about the risk of taking it, but what about the nutritional value? Does it have more protein content?
Okay, so if I understand your question, you want to know if... Okay, are you done asking your question, sir? I wasn't here.
No, I'm not done. I'm not done yet. That's one of it.
Okay, go on, sir.
No, that's one of it. Then the second one has to do with the fact that, some people like putting their eggs, in their rice, when boiling rice, for instance.
Okay.
And it takes more than 10 minutes that you mentioned in your slides. So is there any implication having to include one's egg while boiling rice? That's the second second question. Then the third one is clarification. You said that it is better for one to use vegetable oil. To use plant-based oil.
Plant-based oil, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, olive oil and the rest instead of vegetable oil. So the question is vegetable not plants? Don't get, because I expect that all this soya bean oil and palm oil, they are all plants.
Please, can you mute your mic? I'm finding it very hard to hear you. Please, if you're not asking a question, kindly mute your mics. Thank you. Okay, go on, sir.
Okay. So the third question that I actually wanted to ask is that you said that it is better to use plant-based oil, like olive oil and some other things that you mentioned.
Yes.
So instead of vegetable oil.
Yes.
So now, for me, is that vegetable is actually plants. I know groundnut oil and all that. They are actually plants. So what exactly are you trying to communicate in that regard? Okay. So that we get that clarification right. So those are the three questions. Hope you got them right. Or do you want me to still reiterate?
Yes, I got you right, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, good. All right, thank you.
Okay, so for your first question, you said you wanted to ask about the use of raw eggs. Well, I already answered for the other person that asked the question. Then for boiling your eggs in rice. Now, the thing is, once you leave your boiled eggs for a very long time in water, more proteins are denatured. Like, it causes denaturing of proteins. That's just like destroying some of the proteins that I need. So when I say 8 to 10 minutes, if it's possible to boil the rice separately and boil the egg separately, if it's possible, that's fine. So you'll be able to note the time. But if it's possible, I think it's better for you to just remove the eggs when you know, okay, it's past 10 minutes, it's past 8 minutes, it's past 5 minutes, depending on how you want your eggs, so that it will not affect, the eggs will still be formed, but exposing it to heat for that long period of time is going to cause denaturing of more of the proteins that are present in the eggs. I hope you understand me, sir.
Yes, clearly.
Yes, so that is the reason why. So you can actually still boil your eggs in rice. It's not doing any, it's not causing any harm. It's just the timing. So if you can remove the eggs, if you know you'll be able to remove the eggs from the rice when it's after a period of time that you're done boiling it, it's better for you than leaving it for that long period of time where the rice will get cooked. So once you leave it for that long period of time, you are denaturing more of the protein. I hope you understand me, sir.
Yes, very well. That's noted. But
All
you
right.
haven't answered my first question.
Yes,
Sorry.
for the last question about vegetable oil. Now, you know why in Nigeria, sir? Vegetable oil in Nigeria is supposed to be plant-based oil. But most of the time, we don't know how they are prepared, or we don't know if, I think I've heard somewhere saying vegetable oil is even bleached palm oil. So to be sure that you are taking plant-based oil, vegetable oil, even from our research and from the research carried out even here in Nigeria, is high. The one we use in Nigeria is actually high in, is higher in saturated fats and other plant-based oils. That's why I said extra virgin olive oil, sunflower oil, because these ones, most of them, we have less, they are proven to have less cholesterol level or lesser cholesterol level. So even if you now want to use vegetable oil, you can still use vegetable oil. It's just the amount. You would reduce, for someone that already has a cardiovascular disease, that already has elevated blood cholesterol, you already know that that person is not even an option to use, is not an option to use vegetable oil, because it would definitely increase the cholesterol in the blood. But if it's for a general, a healthy person, someone that is not battling with any form of condition or any form of disease that has to do with cholesterol, it's better you can just use it, but use it at very little amounts. I think to fry one egg, you shouldn't be using more than 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. And then you can add vegetables to your egg to make it a more healthy option, like I mentioned earlier. So it's better for someone that already has a cardiovascular disease, for someone that already has an elevated blood cholesterol, it is safer to use other plant-based oils that have been proven to have reduced level of saturated fat and cholesterol. I hope you understand me, sir.
Yeah, that is noted too. But the first question, what is the nutritional value compared,
Okay, of the raw eggs?
Yes, compared to other,
fried
fried
and boiled eggs, yes, sir. Okay, for the raw eggs, the amount of protein that you have, you're not exposing the protein to any, like I mentioned earlier, when you boil your protein or when you fry your eggs, rather, you are making the protein more digestible. So one thing with boiled eggs is that you're not exposing it to any kind of, definitely you're not denaturing any amount of protein. So it's possible that you actually have more protein in the boiled eggs. So if you're sure that in the raw eggs, rather, if you're sure that your raw eggs are pasteurized, then the risk of food poisoning is reduced. I hope you understand me, sir. Once you're sure that they are pasteurized, the risk of food poisoning is reduced, then you can go ahead. But if you're not sure if the eggs that you're using, they are pasteurized, that is, they've gone through processing, and then you're sure that they do not contain any microorganisms anymore, then you can use them for, you can use boiled or fried eggs in place of the raw eggs. Because we actually have raw eggs in yogurts, we have raw eggs in mayonnaise, and these ones are pasteurized. There's nobody that would produce yogurt. If they are going through the right channels, they will actually have to pasteurize their eggs before they produce their yogurts or before they produce their mayonnaise or any other thing that they use raw eggs in producing. So these are people, it's done on a large scale. So they have to pasteurize that egg. They cannot risk food poisoning, because they are producers and they're producing for a very large number of people. So they have to prepare their eggs properly before using them in yogurt production or in mayonnaise production or any other thing that has to do with raw eggs that would not be exposed to heat. I hope I answered your question, sir.
Yes, clearly. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, Mr. Taufik, are you ready to ask your questions? I'll just go through the chat section. Okay, so I think I saw, yes, I advocated that we use the services of a registered dietitian. Now, Hygea, we're partnered with Hygea, so you can actually get free diet counseling from us, from Cairo Diet Clinic, because we're partnered with Hygea. You are covered for free diet counseling. So you can just reach out to us and then we'll get your details and then we'll go on from there. If you're with Hygea, you're partnered with Cairo Diet Clinic, so you have access to free diet counseling. That's for the question about registered dietitian. Okay, so someone says, what's your take on parboiled egg? Okay, parboiled egg, that means the egg would not be fully formed, if I'm correct. So what's your take on parboiled egg? Now, like I said earlier, there are different, people have different preferences when it comes to eggs. Some people like their yolks runny. Like you see the yolk, some people like it when it's still watery, if it's not very solid. Some people like them when it's extremely hard boiled. Some people like their eggs when it's in the middle, it's not runny, it's not solid, it's just like the color is a bit yellowish and all. So like I said, as far as you've exposed your eggs to heat, you're already taking care, you've already denatured some of the proteins, and you've already made some of the proteins digestible. So as far as you expose your eggs to heat, you can actually eat it. It doesn't have to be hard boiled until you eat it. Actually, it is recommended that you don't even take your eggs extremely hard boiled, that you make them, because that's when the less proteins are denatured in that process. So you would have as many proteins as you can get if you don't expose them to heat for a very long period of time. So if you want to boil your egg for say 3 minutes, say 5 minutes, it's all based on your preference. If you want eggs that are runny, or you want eggs that with different textures, it's based on preference. As far as you've exposed it to heat, you've denatured some, you've made it more digestible, and then exposing it to less heat for a less period of time would not make too many proteins denatured. Like, it will not destroy too much of the protein. So it's even best you don't expose it to heat for a very long period of time. So once you've already exposed it to heat, you know you've gone through, you've cut down the risk of salmonella poisoning or food poisoning. Then as long as you prefer your eggs, maybe you don't want them to be hard boiled, then you can enjoy your eggs that way. I hope I answered your question. Then it says, thanks for the presentation. So is it now safe to say an apple and 1 egg a day keeps the doctor and the dietitian away? Okay, so I don't know about keeps the dietitian away, because you actually need a dietitian to live, to maintain a healthy lifestyle, because it's not easy. You need someone to actually plan your meals, except you have previously have maybe nutrition education on types of foods you should eat, but a dietitian will tailor it personally to your needs. And then to keep the doctor away, you know, it's safe to say eat an apple. It's not only apples we have different types of fruits. I'm just clarifying. But now taking eggs, like I mentioned, if you're battling with any disease condition, maybe diabetes, high blood cholesterol, heart diseases, hypertension, or any of these diseases, you know, if you're sure that you do not have any of these diseases, you can take eggs every day, even more than 1. But the research that was conducted states that 1 egg per day cannot increase risk of cardiovascular disease. That's if you don't already have cardiovascular disease. It cannot increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. But since egg contains quite a high amount of cholesterol, you might have to see the dietitian to know, okay, what's the level of your cholesterol? Is it safe for me to take 1 egg per day if you already have elevated blood cholesterol? I hope I answered your question. So, but if you're a healthy person, yes, you can say 1 egg and 1 apple a day alongside other other nutrients that you should be taking in. So not just taking 1 egg and 1 apple will keep the doctor away and the dietitian away. 1 egg, 1 apple, taking all groups of foods. You have to take your carbs, you need your protein, you need your vitamins, you need healthy fats, you need good source of lean proteins. So it's a holistic approach. It's not just, I'm taking enough exercises, doing a lot of moderate exercises consistently. All these things work hand in hand. So not just taking an egg and taking an apple a day will keep the doctor away. You have to put all these things into consideration. I hope I answered your question. Okay, then thanks for the presentation. Thank you very much. It says, my question goes, does eating egg have any form, have negative effects on prostate, that is causing prostate cancer? Okay, I'll answer this question last. It says, any nutritional and medical difference between eating chicken egg and guinea fowl egg? Okay, so eggs are eggs. Now there might be a maybe slight difference or slight increase or reduction in eating chicken eggs, eating guinea fowl eggs, eating pigeon eggs, or all forms of eggs. But as far as they are eggs from animal sources, they have high protein content, they have good vitamin D content, they have good vitamin A content. potassium content, they have nutrients that you need. So like I mentioned, you can apply these things I mentioned to any type of egg, both guinea fowl egg, both chicken egg, or any other form of egg that you want to eat. All right. So it says, if you have a raised serum cholesterol already, can you avoid eating egg outright, or you can still take egg? Like I mentioned, you would have to see a registered dietitian, because you have to take into consideration what level your cholesterol, your blood cholesterol, your serum cholesterol is at, to be able to know if you can still take the egg. I can't give a general answer. So we'll have to look at your test results to know if they are extremely elevated, to know how to place you on eggs. Thank you very much. I hope I answered your question. Okay, this person says, Mr. Michael Oyebola says, 10 minutes cooking time starts from when? Immediately it's on fire, or when boiling starts? Okay, when I say 10 minutes, I mean immediately you put it, you're going to put it on the fire before it starts boiling. So from the period of when it starts boiling till when it's boiled already. So it's not when it's already boiling that you put it on your stove, or you put it on your in your boiling water, or whatever you're using to boil it for that period. So it starts from the beginning, when the water is still cool. That's when I said 10 minutes. So that the amount of heat that the eggs will be getting will not be too much for an elongated period of time. If the water is already boiling, then you can just boil for about 5 minutes. So the amount of time, or the amount of heat that you're exposing your eggs to would not be prolonged. The time you're exposing the eggs to heat will not be prolonged. I hope I answered your question, Mr. Michael. Okay, so if you want the link to a consultation, it has been posted in the chat session. So we manage different diseases. We manage diabetes, hypertension, cancer, high blood cholesterol, elevated blood glucose, that's pre-diabetes or diabetes. Then we also manage elevated kidney issues like chronic kidney diseases, acute kidney injuries, and other forms of health conditions. So you can just click on that link, and then you get paired with a registered dietitian. Thank you very much. Okay, so this person says, thank you for this presentation. I think it's okay to tell people who have issues with marked obesity and hyperlipidemia, see the doctor, the dietitian, before taking prescription. Okay, I think I lost that. Okay, so like I mentioned, if you have any health condition, you have to see a registered dietitian before you're sure what to eat, or if before you say 1 egg per day, just to be sure, you have to see a registered dietitian that would tailor your meal plan or your personalized meal plan to what your test result says, like I mentioned earlier. Okay. I think I've answered all the questions in the chat session. Okay, Mr. Taufik, are you ready to ask your question, please? Mr. Taufik Alamin.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
I'm really sorry. I'm at one location, so I'm
all right, no problem, sir. I can hear you, sir.
My question is this. Talking about egg. Okay. I have a son, which I can't say every day, but almost 3 or 4 times in a week. I used to give him. I was told in the hospital, one of our hospitals.
Can you be more audible, sir? I can't hear you, sir.
Okay, let me remove my Bluetooth there. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. I think it's better.
Yeah. So I have a son, which I went to the hospital to complain about the way he's leaning. I don't understand. So they now told me that I should be giving him egg and fish and crayfish or something. So I've been doing that, though there's a little bit of improvement
but still yet, I'm not that satisfied with what is happening. And I'll say, okay, is when you talk about maybe there's something in the cooked egg also that I don't want to emphasize on something I don't understand much about. So I want to ask, is it because I'm not giving him the egg on a daily basis, or is maybe something else which I don't understand?
Okay, sir. So if I understand your question, you said your son, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he has a he's underweight. It's not as like he has a reduced weight,
Losing
right?
weight, yes.
Okay, and then you were told to give him high protein foods like eggs, crayfish, and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so especially for children, he needs a registered dietitian, sir, to be able to calculate exactly the amount of protein he needs. If not, you might not see your. Hello, sir, can you hear me, sir?
I can. You said I said
So
come
he
again.
needs, and he doesn't only need protein, he needs adequate amount of carbohydrates, he needs adequate amount of vitamins, different vitamins, and of protein, of all the macronutrients and some micronutrients. So if you would be giving him based on, okay, I gave him egg today, I give him crayfish tomorrow, you might not be getting the exact amount. You know, he's still growing. So he needs adequate amount. That is enough amount of what of the nutrients that his body needs. So he needs to be getting the adequate amount of nutrients that his body needs.
Someone is interrupting.
Yes, I think
I can hear. Maybe the
person has been muted. Okay, so like I was saying, I said he needs a registered dietitian to be able to calculate his requirements for the day. And then after calculating his requirements for the day, these requirements will be split into the foods that he'll be eating so that he'll be able to add weight and then put on the amount of weight that his body is supposed to be at. Instead of you can't just speculate by giving him what you feel like, okay, maybe today I gave him eggs, tomorrow I gave him, it would not work that way. He might not add weight. So he needs someone that will tailor it personally to his weight, his present weight, and his height, and then other nutrients that his body needs. I hope you understand me, sir.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome, sir. Okay, Miss Tabitha Chukure, I hope I pronounced that correctly. You can ask your question, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. So my question is, does the nutritional value reduce when egg is boiled and stored in the freezer, say for some days? E.g., like when you have egg in your stew and you put it in the freezer, yeah? Is the nutritional value reduced? And also, is there a general negative impact of freezing boiled egg? So that's the question.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you very much for your question. Okay, so if you're talking about freezing, you are saying you want to elongate the shelf life. So you don't want to leave it just raw, and then you want to freeze it so that you'll be able to enjoy it for a long period of times, right?
Yes.
Okay, so for boiled eggs, to be sure, because exposing it to extreme heat for a very long period of time will denature its protein. So I feel if you freeze it for a very long period of time, it would have the same effect on the protein. So if you want to enjoy, I feel like you should just leave them at room temperature. The best way to store your eggs are at room temperature, even if they are raw. If they are raw or if they are boiled, I'm not so sure about freezing, because I know that exposing them to heat for a very long period of time will definitely denature the protein. So even
what I'm trying to say is,
okay,
like if the egg is inside a stew, right?
Okay,
and you put your stew in the freezer.
Okay.
So that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, so if you put I feel like I don't have I have to check research on that, but for freezing eggs, basically, if you can keep them out of the freezer to be able to preserve the eggs. I feel eggs are stored best at room temperature. I didn't get you, sir. Someone is speaking.
Sorry? Oh, okay.
Please mute your mic. Thank you. Okay, so if you are going to be preserving them, why not boil your eggs separately and keep them at room temperature, and then store your stew. Yes, store your stew separately in the freezer, just to be sure that you are not denaturing too much protein. Because the eggs will not get spoiled, yes, you will still enjoy them, but are you sure you're getting the amount of nutrients or the amount of protein that your body needs? I hope you understand me, just to be safe. Just to be safe, yes.
Okay. All right, no problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Sorry, about the question on prostrate. So for eggs, now the amount of choline in eggs have actually been linked to an increased risk of prostate cancer, or an increased risk of progression of prostate cancer. So if maybe there's a history of prostate cancer, maybe in your family, maybe someone close to you, like that is already in your genes or genetics, if there's an increased risk of prostate cancer already in your family, you might have to cut down on eggs. But firstly, you would have to see a dietitian to assess all the risk factors to be sure that you're cutting out eggs, because eggs actually have very good amounts of cholesterol, the good healthy fat, and then they have good amounts of vitamin E, vitamin D, they have other beneficial nutrients. So if you're going to be staying away from eggs, you have to be sure that you are at extreme risk of prostate cancer, or you already have, or the person already has prostate cancer. So you just know that we're cutting down the amount of eggs the person is taking, because actually choline in eggs have been linked by research to an increased risk of progression of prostate cancer. I hope I answered your question. So we are saying cooked eggs are better. Yes, cooked eggs are better if you are sure that you're not pasteurizing your eggs, or if your eggs are not pasteurized, or you cannot ascertain if your eggs have been pasteurized. Yes, cooked eggs are better. Cook your eggs to avoid food poisoning. Cook your eggs to avoid food poisoning, please. Thank you very much. I hope I answered everyone's questions. I think we've come to the end of our presentation today. Thank you so much for everyone that joined our presentation.
Thank you, Esther. It was a very interactive session. I learned a lot, and I know that everyone here also did learn a lot. Thank you for educating us and enlightening us on eggs, the best ways to have eggs, whether it's boiled or fried, whether you're having a health condition, the best way that you can also enjoy it. You can reach out to them through the link. If you're covered Higher HMO and really, you can reach out to them through the link in the comment section. And you can also reach out to us at highcare@highhmo.com if you want to ask any further questions, or you want clarity, or you just want to get covered under Higher HMO insurance covers. You can reach out to us at highcare@highhmo.com. Thank you for joining our webinar session today, and do have a wonderful day. Bye.